What up, dirt nappers? Finally said it. Just so you know, I've tried that like 4 times already. Hey, I was jumping on here because something caught my attention today, and it's something that's actually had my attention. I've looked into it. I've read about it several times over the past year or two, but it was prevalent today, and I got up at, 7 or so this morning because I wanted to watch the Bass, the Elite Series at Lake Fork. I love watching the big tournaments, and I especially love watching them on Lake Fork. If you don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, Lake Fork is, if not the best, top 3, in terms of bass, largemouth bass fisheries. I would say anywhere, not just in America, but quite possibly anywhere. They changed their format there. They catch and release. It don't hit the live well, and you get to keep one. It has to measure 24 inches minimum. I mean, it's just it's an unbelievable lake, and it's, for me, super fun to watch. Anyway, I'll get right into it, man. So the thing that was dragging this tournament down a little bit was the names at the top of the leaderboard. And it was all young cats. I mean, a lot of them, hell, I want to say like at one point 3 of the top 5 were even first year Elite Series anglers. And more power to them, but the dude that was leading the thing today for most of the day is a boy that just turned 19 like last week. And Lee Livesey jumped on there, who I want to say he won it last year, if not the year before, or if not both years, because he lives on that lake. And he had made the comment, about he knew that he couldn't win that tournament if he didn't stare at his screen. He said, I knew I couldn't win, didn't have a chance of winning if I didn't use front-facing sonar, the FFS. All right. And I think that's a hot topic right now with all anglers. And, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that's even part of, if not most of, the reason that KVD, the GOAT, Kevin Van Dam, finally hung up his tournament series competitions or his competitive tournaments, because it's just not the way those guys fished, right? They made a comment today, which really, man, it was really prevalent. It was, these guys are in the lead because they trust that screen more than they do their own experience. And I thought to myself, okay, that's very telling. That explains a lot, because you've got professional anglers, and I'm not saying that a 19 or a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old first-timer can't have the proper experience, but they trust the screen more than they do their own experience out there on a body of water. So at one point, they have the 4 they'll have the 4 screens with 4 anglers going at one time, and every single screen was like this. The fishermen just staring straight down. They're not looking at the water. They're not taking anything in. They are there for one reason only, and it's to watch their screen so that they can catch a fish. And you have to start asking yourself, okay, not only where would those guys be, would they even be on the Elite Series without that front-facing sonar? Could they even put together the resume to get to that series without the front-facing sonar? Because it's much like a video game. Now, don't get me wrong. I know I've got it. Like I've got it. I've got Eco Map. I've got the Garmin transducer. I mean, I've got it myself. I don't just use it for bass fishing. I'll use it for some crappie, but I'll also use it for bow fishing because, as y'all know, I'm a big bow fisherman, and it helps identify where big fish are and are they going to come to the top to feed so that you can get a shot on them. But as far as tournament bass fishing, I know there was one that I read about, and it's right here. Despino, Despino, I think I'm saying that right, bans FFS for the benefit tournament. And I believe that this is going to happen more and more. I also think it's going to happen in even bow fishing, believe it or not. But I think it's going to happen even more and more. Lee didn't use FFS in his first day. And now I'll take you back to last week's tournament, open tournament of the season. G-Man, Gerald Swindle, made a conscious decision to not use forward-facing sonar on day one, and he might have even waited on day two. Because a lot of the OGs are it's not that they're not happy with it. They know the technology works. But for them, there's no longer the experience of, hey, I'm an angler. I'm out here looking at, I have to look at the top of the water for the most part. It's nice to know where some structure is, but to actually see the fish and know that you're throwing a lure to the fish, having the fish chase it like a video game, yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of it's almost bush league. And at some point, when do you let the OGs have a tournament series that doesn't have that? That doesn't allow the forward-facing sonar. I know it'd probably be a hard split off, but one of these guys is going to do it. And they're going to take a lot of anglers with them when they start the series that doesn't allow forward-facing sonar. And you might even get some retired anglers back in that series. If it's not already in the works, I believe it's not going to be far down the road. You don't even have to worry about BASS and Major League and things like that banning that. What you're gonna see is most likely a new league that doesn't want it, that doesn't want that technology, and it's probably going to be a league at that point that's the electronics are going to be Lowrance and Humminbird, but none of the live scope stuff, none of the forward-facing sonar. But so anyway, Randy Despino, who has fished the MLF pro circuit for the past 5 years, and he's even said that he relied, I think at one point he said he's won $150,000 or so. 70% of it was due to front-facing sonar, was due to FFS. He's not making any bones about it. He's just saying, hey, I do a charity tournament. It's went from 30 boats to 260 boats, some odd boats. They raise a ton of money, and you have to at least say to yourself at that point, all right, not everybody can afford this stuff. I'm going to tell you, man, that shit cost me probably somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 for everything that I've got, and I don't have the baddest of the bad. Like you can easily put $20,000 in just some technology and screens on the front of your boat, if not $50,000. I'd say some of these pro anglers have closer to $50,000 in electronics at the front of their boat. But anyway, he said that he thought about it a lot, talked to plenty of people before he made the decision. He said this is a benefit tournament, and I believe in the coming future of our tournament that it's just best to eliminate the use of FFS. We've got some of the best bass anglers in the country around here. They can use it in practice all they want, but come tournament day, have to turn the transducers off. They have to be unplugged. And one thing that does is it just levels the playing field for the average, for the average fisherman that wants to come out there, that wants to have a good time, that wants to try to get in the money, and knows 100% that he can't compete with somebody running electronics that he can't afford, quite honestly. He can't afford it. You know, I mean, hell, some of these anglers are putting another man's yearly salary just in screens on the front of their boat. And to even get the lowest form of live scope, you know, it might cost an average person, I don't know, like a quarter of his yearly salary to do that. I mean, you got that, it's priorities, right? So I'm not against the necessarily the front-facing sonar. Is it bad for the sport of bass fishing for the everyday fan like me? Yes, it is. It is. There was nothing that I liked about seeing everybody on the screen stare when they had the 4 anglers. Every one of them looking down, rods in hand. Man, you just go back 5 years. Have that same 4 picture from a Bass Elite Series tournament on FS1. And all 4 of those anglers are casting because that's what it was. It was how many casts can you put out there per minute, you know. And that was the way that I was even taught to start kind of gauging your tournament style fishing was you can't catch them if your lure's not in the water. Well, now it's gotten to the point where I'll be honest, I hate to say anybody can do it because they can't, man. These guys are pros at what they do. They've got thousands of hours on the screen, but at the end of the day, they're getting good at a screen. They're not reading the bodies of water as much. If the fish isn't there, they're not casting. There's no more of this, you know, it's cast. How many casts are you getting out there per minute? It's, okay, do you see fish? All right, see fish, try to get fish, and chase that fish down. And Lee Livesey made a good point about watching that front-facing sonar. There was, at one point, fish was chasing the bait, right? He was chasing the bait, and he said, right here, see, I would have already reeled mine in quick. He said, I would have took the bait away from that fish because the bait and the angler was trying to catch the fish at such a rate that it pulled the bait it pulled the fish 100 yards from the tree he was up on. And it takes a while for that fish to get back there, but it pulled him 100 yards from it. He said, I would have already gotten my bait out of that fish's face and let him go back to the tree, which makes sense also. And I think that in the long game, for me as a fan, I didn't like seeing it. I mean, of course, I love to see guys catch big fish, but I also love to see them casting. I love to see them casting those lines repeatedly and doing the fan sequence where they're fanning all around, you know. And I used to love to see Kevin Van Dam with that crankbait when he would get in a pocket or a school of fish and he would just rip them. I mean, that's what I remember the most from, let's say, 15 years ago was KVD. I'd always say when he finds that school of fish, man, it's on. But now it's, you know, he's not he wasn't ripping the crankbait through there. I was glad he won last year on his way out, but I just think that the FFS, maybe even not necessarily that it's bad, but I do believe it's taking the fun out of the sportsman that just wants to be able to watch those tournaments on television, you know, that can't be a part of it, that just wants to watch it. I don't want to sit there and watch a bunch of guys looking at the screen and not casting a line out there. I don't. I want to see them out there fishing. I want to see them throwing as many times as they can. That's just what I want to see. I think it's bad in that sense. Now, is there a way that they could put it where it's 4-day tournament? You know, give a day before the weekend to use it. Give a day during weekend to use it. You know, maybe take day one of the tournament off of take the sonar off, unplug it, fish it on Friday. Take or fish it on Friday and Saturday, and then take it off on Championship Sunday. You know, I would love to see something like that, because then what you're going to have is some of the OGs of bass fishing that are a little bit reluctant to to stare at a screen all day because they love the outdoors and they love to be out there fishing and they love to cast that line and they love to look around. I mean, I believe Gerald Swindle just had a story about, out there fishing, and he's like, I saw an older woman and her husband knowing she had better things to do, but she was out there with her husband, in an old flat bottom boat watching the bobber go down. And that was all they had to do. And he said, had I been locked up in my screen, I'd have never been able to enjoy that moment. So that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to see. I don't know. You tell me. Do you think that front-facing sonar is, one, going to kill the tournament series as far as an average fan goes? Because I might tune in tomorrow, but I can tell you this: if I see it where they're all just looking down again, and again, nothing against the young guy up there leading the tournament, but I mean, I don't know, it's just hard. It's just hard because I know he would be outfished by damn near everybody in that series if they took the electronics away. You guys know who would rise to the top if they took electronics away. They've compared the front-facing sonar to saying that's like going deer hunting in a high fence at night with a spotlight. And, it just, what else can you do, What else can you say? If it's like going deer hunting behind a high fence at night with a spotlight, man, there's just not the only thing, there's not much, it's not much easier than that, right? So, I don't know, it's a hot topic. I'm going to enjoy seeing more and more places ban it, or at least make it to where you can't use it every day of a tournament, because I really don't want to see the cream of the crop in the Bass Elite Series leave the series because of that front-facing sonar. And more of them are saying, "Hey, that's not how I fish. It's not how I want to fish." So the technology's there, and everybody's going to say, "Oh, they just need to get with the times, get with the technology." No, they don't. No, they don't. Come on, man. They just need to keep fishing the way that they were taught to fish and the way that they love to fish. And there needs to be a series for that. There needs to be a tournament series for that style of fishing. For those guys that just, hey, it's fine. Let's have a depth finder. Let's be able to see where the creeks are. But that, hey, let's find a fish like a video game and stick a lure in front of it. That's exactly what it's like. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If not, tune into FS1 in the morning and watch this final Sunday. You're going to see a bunch of guys staring at a screen, and that's the only way that they're even going to cast. They're not going to cast. It's really sad. It's really sad to watch. And I, for one, would love to see a series come around without it, or have them start implementing some type of rules, or at least even make it, half on, half off, something like that, because I want to see the OGs in tournament day. And if all of them say, "Hey, I've made a conscious decision not to use it," and then they fall by the wayside, man, it's just not right. They're trying to keep the sport in fishing, and that front-facing sonar is taking the sport out of fishing, in my eyes. So anyway, let me know what y'all think. Like the video if you like it. Comment if you want to debate. I'll try to get with the comments there. And subscribe to the channel. I'll be following up on this topic quite a bit because I think that it's something that's just gonna keep on gaining momentum. So if you were to have to say, "Hey, do you want it in or out?" As a fan, I would rather see it out. I would rather see it out as a fan, watching it on my television. Now, as an angler out there trying to win money, I'd probably be saying, "Yeah, have it in." But I don't know. That's a lie. That's a lie. At the same time, it's a lie. The only reason I even got it for my bow fishing is because the best big head hunters were running it, and I knew it. So they're also running night vision and things like that, you know. And I hate to say I'm going to have to go that route to be able to compete. But if I want to compete in big head country, then I'm going to have to go that route. So anyway, I just thought I'd jump on here, hit this topic, kind of give my opinion, see where y'all stand with it. You know, does front-facing sonar have a place in these tournaments, or do you want to see it back to where it's guys that are casting? So let me know what you think, and till next time, suck a fish.